In the expanse of Central Asia, where towering mountains and treacherous gorges dominate the horizon, a fortress stands as the ultimate challenge, the Rock of Sogdiana. Impregnable and invincible, it seemed an eternal symbol of humanity's resistance against the impossible. Yet, in the year 327 BCE, one man dared to defy not only nature, but the very notion of limitation. That man was Alexander the Great. Today, we delve into one of the most iconic episodes in military history, an event that was not merely a battle, but a testament to courage, strategy, and the near superhuman tenacity that defined the greatest conqueror of the ancient world. How did 300 men turn derision into glory and the impossible into an eternal victory? Prepare to relive the audacity that transformed an unassailable fortress into one of the most remarkable milestones of Alexander's journey. This is the story of the Rock of Sogdiana, and it begins now. In 327 BCE, the ancient world witnessed one of the most ambitious military endeavors ever recorded. Alexander the Great had already defeated the Persian Empire, consolidating his control over vast territories stretching from Greece to Egypt and Mesopotamia. Yet his campaign was far from over. His gaze now turned to the arduous regions of Bactria and Sogdiana, mountainous and inhospitable lands inhabited by warrior tribes who fiercely resisted the Macedonian advance. These tribes, well versed in the rugged terrain, employed guerrilla tactics and used the natural environment as their defense. Alexander faced an entirely new kind of warfare, not the organized armies of the Persians, but dispersed foes capable of hiding and striking unpredictably. It was a test of his military adaptability and his ability to craft strategies suited to a completely different theater of war. At the heart of this resistance stood the Rock of Sogdiana, a natural fortress that defied military logic. Perched atop a steep cliff and surrounded by impassable terrain, the rock appeared to be a creation of the gods, designed to be invincible. Historically, it was more than a physical stronghold. It symbolized the hope and determination of the local peoples to resist foreign domination. The defenders of the rock were led by men who knew the terrain as intimately as the lines on their palms. They had stockpiled enough supplies for a prolonged siege, and were confident that even the mightiest army in the world could not reach them. When Alexander's envoys arrived with a demand for surrender, their response was laced with scorn. "You will need men with wings to reach us." For Alexander, the Rock of Sogdiana was more than a physical obstacle. It was a direct challenge to his authority and reputation as an invincible conqueror. He understood that conquering this fortress would not only bring a military victory, but also deliver a symbolic blow that would demoralize the rebel. At the same time, failure to subjugate the rock could inspire other tribes to resist, prolonging his campaign in an already volatile region. Thus, the Rock of Sogdiana became the focal point of a confrontation that was not merely between armies, but between willpower, ingenuity, and determination. Alexander knew that his response to this challenge would define not only the campaign, but also the narrative of his leadership. It was in this setting that he devised a plan as daring as the legend surrounding his name. The scornful response from the defenders of the Rock of Sogdiana was more than a mere refusal. It was a direct affront to Alexander's pride and reputation. For a leader whose life had been defined by victories against seemingly insurmountable foes, such provocation could not go unanswered. The defenders' challenge not only bolstered the rebels' sense of superiority, but also cast doubt on Alexander's abilities in the eyes of his own men with wings. These words reverberated not just as an insult, but as a summons to the tactical ingenuity that had always set Alexander apart as a general. He realized that the key was not merely to besiege the rock, but to prove that no obstacle, however impossible, was beyond his reach. Alexander's plan to conquer the Rock of Sogdiana would be as audacious as the challenge itself. He assembled 300 of his most seasoned soldiers, men who had demonstrated exceptional climbing skills during previous campaigns. These warriors were more than soldiers. They were specialists, capable of confronting natural challenges no conventional army could overcome. To motivate them further, Alexander promised a generous reward to those who succeeded and survived. It was an offer that combined glory, riches, and the chance to become part of something legendary. Driven by loyalty to their leader and the desire to achieve the unachievable, the men accepted the challenge without hesitation. The tools for the ascent were simple: ropes, iron stakes, and the unshakable determination of these soldiers. The climb was to be carried out under the cover of darkness to prevent the defenders from detecting their movements. Every step was a battle against the cold, exhaustion, and the ever-present risk of a deadly fall. As the plan unfolded, Alexander kept the rest of his army in position, simulating preparations for a conventional siege. This strategy not only distracted the defenders, but also reinforced their belief that the rock remained unreachable. Under the cover of night, the 300 soldiers chosen for Alexander's most daring mission began their perilous climb. Armed only with ropes, iron stakes, and an unyielding spirit, they faced a brutal terrain, sheer cliffs, treacherous ice-covered surfaces, and howling winds that cut like blades. Every movement was an act of pure courage and precision. The silence of the darkness was broken only by the metallic sound of stakes being driven into the rock, a constant reminder of the deadly abyss awaiting any misstep. The cold was relentless. Frost gathered on their hands, making it increasingly difficult to grip their tools and the rock face. With every meter conquered, new dangers emerged: hidden crevices, loose stones threatening to disrupt their stability, and the ever-present risk of falling. Yet the soldiers pressed on without hesitation. Alexander had promised them rewards and glory, but above all, it was his unwavering confidence that fueled their determination. He did not merely command, he inspired. The ascent was not without sacrifice. Around 30 men, challenged by gravity and fate, fell silently to their deaths, their lives claimed by the impossible task. Even so, their comrades, driven by a mix of grief and resolve, continued upward. For them, this was not just about reaching the summit. It was about proving that the impossible was merely a matter of perspective. As the climbers battled the forces of nature, Alexander remained below, overseeing the preparations for the mock siege meant to distract the defenders. He knew the success of the ascent depended on every second secured in the stillness of the night. The tension among his commanders was palpable, yet Alexander exuded a calculated calm. He understood that victory would not be achieved by brute strength alone, but by the psychological grip his plan would hold over the enemy. Above, the climbers advanced slowly, but with fierce determination. Each soldier aided the next, forming a chain of support and resilience that defied reason. They knew the dawn would bring either the culmination of their mission or the end of their lives. When the first rays of sunlight broke across the sky, the impossible was revealed. The defenders of the rock of Sogdiana, confident that no enemy could ever challenge them, looked up to see the silhouettes of the climbers triumphantly waving from the summit. The men who supposedly needed wings were now standing above them, defying all logic. The impact was devastating. The defenders' morale crumbled instantly. Those who had mocked Alexander's capabilities now faced the harsh reality of a leader who turned insults into victories and refused to acknowledge limitations. With no hope of resistance, the defenders surrendered. The rock of Sogdiana, once a symbol of unyielding resistance, was now in Alexander's hands. This victory was more than strategic. It was a testament to how audacity, courage, and visionary leadership could overcome any obstacle. The ascent of the rock of Sogdiana was more than a military victory. It was a symbolic act that solidified Alexander's reputation as a visionary leader and an unparalleled strategist. The audacity to send men on a mission deemed unattainable showcased his ability to think beyond conventional limits and inspire unmatched loyalty among his soldiers. For the local populations and his enemies, the rock of Sogdiana became a defining landmark. It stood as evidence that Alexander was not merely a conqueror, but an unstoppable force of nature, a man who refused to acknowledge boundaries, whether on the battlefield or in the minds of his adversaries. The surrender of the fortress weakened not only the local rebels, but also the morale of any other region contemplating resistance. Leaders who once regarded certain defenses as insurmountable now bowed before Alexander's presence, choosing submission over direct confrontation. His name became synonymous with invincibility. For Alexander, this event was far more than a strategic triumph. He regarded it as a testament to his superiority in every dimension, as a general, a ruler, and a visionary. With the fall of the Rock of Sogdiana, organized resistance in the regions of Bactria and Sogdiana quickly crumbled. The local tribes, once confident in their natural defenses, saw the defeat of their allies as a stark message. Resisting Alexander was futile. Many tribal leaders chose to negotiate their submission, offering tributes and alliances in exchange for clemency. The surrender of these regions was pivotal in solidifying Macedonian control over Central Asia. Bactria, strategically positioned between the west and the rich lands of India, became a secure base for future campaigns. From there, Alexander ensured access to vital trade routes, strengthening his empire both militarily and economically. The conquest of the Rock of Sogdiana was not merely a display of brute strength, it was a masterclass in psychological warfare. Alexander understood that winning battles was not enough. He needed to break the spirit of his opponents. The success of his strategy further cemented his reputation as a commander who not only defeated armies, but dismantled the very will to resist. In regions where a traditional siege might have taken months or years, the swiftness with which Alexander secured surrender saved resources and time, allowing him to focus on new challenges. His ability to blend innovative tactics with overwhelming psychological impact was a key factor in the efficiency of his campaign. With Central Asia pacified, Alexander turned his sights to his next great objective, the conquest of India. The consolidation of his power in Bactria ensured that he had the resources necessary to face new challenges, including well-positioned troops and secure supply line. This transition marked a new phase in the expansion of his empire, demonstrating that each conquest was a stepping stone to even greater ambition. The conquest of the Rock of Sogdiana was one of the most symbolic moments of Alexander's campaign in Central Asia. More than a military achievement, the climb became an emblematic event of his visionary leadership and his ability to overcome seemingly insurmountable challenges. Alexander was not just a general commanding armies, he was a master of inspiring his men and manipulating the imagination of his enemies. By transforming an insult, men with wings, into a personal challenge, he demonstrated that his approach to leadership transcended conventional strategy. The boldness of sending his best soldiers on such a perilous mission and his unwavering confidence in his ability to lead solidified his reputation as one of history's greatest leaders. The victory at the Rock of Sogdiana had an impact that extended beyond the physical barriers of the conflict. It sent a clear message. No refuge, no matter how unreachable it seemed, was beyond Alexander's reach. This shattered the morale of his enemies and discouraged future acts of resistance in neighboring regions. The psychological effect also resonated within the Macedonian ranks. The bravery of the climbers and Alexander's relentless leadership reinforced the belief that they were under the command of an extraordinary leader. This conviction not only sustained the army's morale, but also fueled the myth of Alexander as an invincible figure, essential for maintaining cohesion within such a vast and diverse empire. Over the centuries, the ascent of the Rock of Sogdiana has been studied as an example of how adaptation and audacity can reverse seemingly impossible situations. The lessons from this event influence both the art of war and the concept of effective leadership. Alexander demonstrated that creativity and courage could be as impactful as brute force. His successors, including the generals who shaped the Hellenistic empires, sought to replicate this kind of boldness. The ascent of the Rock of Sogdiana became a paradigm for military operations, requiring unconventional solutions, inspiring both ancient warfare and modern strategies. The story of the Rock of Sogdiana has endured through the centuries, admired by military leaders, scholars, and strategists. The courage, innovation, and determination exhibited by Alexander and his men have become universal principles of effective leadership. This episode serves as a powerful reminder that success is not determined solely by resources or initial advantages, but by the will to overcome limits. Alexander's legacy at the Rock of Sogdiana is more than a tale of victory. It is a testament to the human capacity to transform the impossible into reality. The courage of the climbers, Alexander's strategic genius, and the lasting impact of this conquest remind us that the greatest challenges can be overcome when leadership is driven by vision, determination, and bravery. Alexander did not merely conquer a fortress, he delivered an eternal message. No barrier is unreachable for those who dare to dream and act. Thus, the Rock of Sogdiana remains not only a milestone in his journey, but also a symbol of human potential to transcend limits. Are you ready to lead or overcome a monumental challenge like Alexander did? Share your thoughts about this incredible story in the comments. Subscribe to the channel for more insights and stories about humanity's greatest achievements. Join us on this journey through the past and get inspired to shape the present.